Arcadia Queenie had a peep over the right shoulder, and she's going to blow them away. Galaxy Star draws away from them. Pike Magician.
Welcome to Racing Rewind. Our panel will review the Prime Metropolitan Meeting of the week. They will look for the horses to follow, those to forgive, and possibly those to forget. If you have an opinion, send a text to 0427 789 571. 0427 789 571.
Yes, get those texts in, punters, on 0427 789 571 and the Sunday Saviours as well, as we welcome along Michael and Lochie to Racing Rewind. Good morning, lads.
Good morning, Marty, Michael and listeners. Great day there at Belmont, I should say. Almost slipped out. Ascot at Belmont yesterday. Swan Draft, Farnley Stakes. What a day for the Dan Morton stable, and Dan will be a special guest later on in the show. But Saloon Bar, he's been knocking on the door of feature race success for so long now, and I really felt he deserved that win yesterday. It was a very, very tough performance.
Yeah, 100%. What a result for Oakland Park as well. Quinella in the Farnley Stakes. They've had a stack of runners, Oakland Park, the past few weeks, and their horses are going terrific. But, geez, Saloon Bar was just a reversal, wasn't it? Didn't really get through that heavy going the start before, and I'm not sure if I've ever seen him ridden on speed previously, but he bounced on there and was good enough to sit outside the favourite and beat him.
Exactly right. I think that's what I loved most about his performance yesterday, was the fact that he was able to settle handier. So often we've seen him get back in his races, and he's probably lost more races than he's won just as a result of that racing pattern throughout his career. But out to 1,400 metres, the race didn't appear to possess a great deal of speed on paper, and from there Stevie Parnham, I think he won the race as soon as the gates opened. 6
winners for Danny Morton this week alone. He's going at 29% the first 6 weeks of the season.
So it'd be a good time to talk to him, wouldn't it, Michael? And he joins us right now, nice and early on Racing Rewind. A very good morning, Dan.
Yeah, good morning, mate.
How are we?
Chipping away.
Ready to go chipping up in Calgary in the Coolgardie Cup today?
Yeah, no, I'm in Cal now, so looking forward to the day. It's a nice day out here.
Geez, you got there nice and quick.
Yeah, I cruised up last night, actually, so...
Wow.
I just beetled up overnight.
Well, we'll kick off with Saloon Bar. Was it your opinion that he just didn't handle the heavy track the start prior? Because yesterday's performance was certainly a reversal.
Yeah, we were sort of pinning our hopes on that without really knowing. The boys and girls were sort of saying it was probably the heaviest track it had been this winter, and we've had some good ones. So, Lucy rode him that day and sort of got caught a little bit wide and went back, which no fault of her own. But he's a very tricky horse to ride, and I think when he did go back, he just put the flag up and pretty much took no further part. So, yeah, we pinned our hopes on the fact that it was just a track that day without any great conviction. But, yeah, I was really pleased. He just showed a good gate speed and held his spot early, and that was important in the end.
Morning, Dan. Congratulations on the win yesterday once again. What did you make of the fact that he was able to settle closer? You just referenced it then. Were you always comfortable that he still travelled well enough in running despite settling much handier than he usually does?
Yeah, honestly, he's a tricky horse. He sort of seemingly, no matter where he settles, he never really looks like he's travelling great. And Stephen's been on him enough now to know that's the case. And you sort of noticed yesterday he even just kept niggling, and even though he was right on the hammer of the leader, he sort of just kept him honest and made sure he kept him there, because he is a horse that can just come off the bridle at crucial stages and make it pretty difficult for himself. But it was key yesterday. Stephen just really stayed intact with the leader and got the job done.
Have to ask you at the other end of the scale, Weapon Sun finished in last position. He was, according to owners, heading to Calgary for the Hannah's Handicap. Will he still be heading that way?
Yeah, I was hoping you wouldn't bring that up. Yeah, the team's been flying. I will. A little bit of a head scratcher, because I did love his run first up, thinking we were definitely heading in the right directions for a Hannon. So, we'll just have to, give him a thorough sort of check out in the first few days of the week and see where we're at. But Geordie was sort of confident. He didn't feel great on the shifting going. So if that's the case and we can get him out to Cal on top of the ground, then hopefully that's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the plan now with Saloon Bar moving forward?
I don't really have a hard and fast one. BJ will have something in the system for us, I'm sure. But, we're not raising the bar too high right at the minute for him. There was these series of sprint races at the minute, and we were looking forward to seeing him over the 1400 there yesterday. So he's probably had enough runs this time around. We might just aim up at something else for him now.
Another couple of winners yesterday, Dan, both really nice 4-year-olds. No brainer. 4 wins from 5 starts now. He looks a really nice progressive type. What do you think the future holds for him?
Beautiful horse. You never know. He's had a really good winter. He'll have a little break now for the spring and just sort of get him back into the Ascot season once that's kicking off. But, don't really know. Lochie asked yesterday where's his ceiling, but don't really know, but he's just a nice progressive horse.
And a fantastic win from In Good Order in the last of the day. How quickly do you look to step him up out in trip moving forward?
I've always sort of been keen to get him while he ran in the Derby, obviously, earlier in the year, and I've been keen to, presume he's going to be a nice star in the making, so I still think that's the case. That said, he's pretty effective, over the shorter ones as well, so, I won't just be pig-headed and stay for, stretch him out too far if the other ones are going to be more to his liking. But same boat, I just think he's a really nice horse in the making.
And before we let you go, the Coolgardie Cup today, a handy scratching with Upper Limits coming out. What are your expectations for your pair, another Chino and Mountain Ash?
Yeah, I'm liking them. We've been aiming at the round for them for a long time. So Mountain Ash, it's sort of we're trying to make this one his grand final, and another Chino using these ones, stepping towards the longer ones for the Kalgoorlie Cup, hopefully. So they're on the truck, heading up behind me now. So hopefully we'll get them off in one piece and look forward to the race.
He just looked to be in the wrong part of the track, another Chino at his last run in the blue spec.
Yeah, I think you're right. It was not really the place to be that day, and he's a bit of a momentum horse, and he just didn't get that opportunity, and he looked plain because of it. So he's been, he was good going into the race. He's been good since it. So, I think he's fine.
Get him on top of the ground up there in Kalgoorlie. He could be a big improver.
Yeah, I think so. And, moving forward, Boulder Cup, Cal Cup, I think that's going to be more his ticket also.
All right, Dan, thanks for coming on Racing Rewind today. All the best up on the goldfields. Enjoy it.
Thanks, boys. Cheers.
Red hot, Dan Morton, is he ever? And thanks to Dan for giving us his time there this morning.
Absolutely flying.
29% the first 6 weeks of the season.
29%. All right, let's move into this. What happened out there yesterday as far as weather track rails concerned, racing patterns, etc.?
In terms of the way the track played, I thought the track actually played quite fair, in my opinion. At some stages I had a slight inkling that maybe it was difficult to make up ground, but in some races I think there was just good, strong on-speed horses. You referenced the likes of a horse like a no-brainer. Playhouse Patron settled handy to the speed in the box seat, as did Taropa, and then Saloon Bar, as we've touched upon, settled handy as well. But there were still horses in those races that were able to flash late, so they were still making up ground. And then there were still horses like Elite One and obviously In Good Order that came back off the speed, midfield or perhaps a touch worse to Salute.
Yeah, I think definitely advantage closer to the speed, but then it wasn't impossible from back. Sentimental Bell and Simply both flashed late to run second.
Steward's report, and there is quite a lengthy report on an incident that took place yesterday. Let's cover it off, Michael, because it does revolve around you. Presenter Michael Heaton appeared before stewards in regard to improper conduct towards jockey W. Pike following race 8. Mr. Heaton subsequently pleaded guilty to a charge under Rule 228B and was fined a sum of $2,000, of which $1,000 will be suspended for a period of 2 years, subject to Mr. Heaton not being in further breach of this rule in that time. When considering the penalty, stewards took into consideration Mr. Heaton's guilty pleas, remorse, unblemished record, and that he will apologise to Mr. Pike for his actions. There had been a little bit of action on the text line, which I thought we would be best off covering with you here, live and personally, and just run us through it. What happened?
I definitely overstepped the mark, which I think both of us, to be honest, are probably regretful of how it unfolded. But I think there's been a source of frustration between I think most people in the industry of Willie's, I guess, treatment of on-course media, whether, newspaper and that, I think is also, in our opinion, separate, but also the on-course media and interviews and so forth, and also his treatment of participants in general the past few months has been pretty ordinary, and he probably chose the wrong person to try to do that to again yesterday. But by the same token, I was still way out of line, and I probably was too aggressive, or definitely was too aggressive and forthright in my reaction to him. But I'll have a chat to Willie on Wednesday, and I'm sure it'll all be forgotten about in due course.
And essentially the reaction was as a result of what occurred during the beaten jockeys following the running of the Farnley, yes?
Yes, yeah. So Willie was probably quite rude, pretty normal by his standards these days, but it was sort of brushed past us and put his hands in the air and said no, and there was a bit of back and forth, and then he came out carrying on and felt like he had to be put in his place, but I was too aggressive in doing so.
Okay, so what do you learn out of it?
Big learning curve for me. I should have just let it go and let him look like he's been looking like, but I chose to bite, which I shouldn't have, and it's very unprofessional from a media perspective, a jockey management perspective. You can't be doing that whatsoever. So if I had my time over again, I wouldn't have done it, and it won't be happening again.
And how did you feel the stewards handled the situation?
Yeah, good. Yeah, no, it's a tricky spot for them to be in, and Mr. Harold Taylor was there and witnessed it, so there was no questioning sort of what went on, and I was quite forthright with that with them in the inquiry, and I was pleased that we were able to get it dealt with there and then. We had the option to sort of tick it over and push it to next week and adjourn and that sort of thing, but I was happy just to nip it in the bud, and like I said, I'll have a chat to Willie on Wednesday, and we'll sort things out, move on, and I'm sure it'll all be forgotten about within a week.
Well, let's get into it. The first event on the program was the Perth Racing Now Hiring Casual Staff Handicap, and this was over the 1,000 metres.
A further 3, Lord Gannicus. He got a little desperate now. He has to stoke him up at the 200 because Ain't No Other Man is coming. Bravo Centurion being tested. He's urging him along from Ain't No Other Man, who keeps coming further back, Lord Gannicus. He's on the inside, still in front. Bravo Centurion from Ain't No Other Man, who'll dive but won't quite get there. And it was a pretty awful watch there for favourite backers at some stage in the straight there. He looked as though he was in trouble in the last 100.
So what do you think about this, Loch? What are your thoughts on this win? And has the horse had enough, or I've just got one little thought I'd like to inject into it, but I want to hear you first.
Here's the first thought. The horse returned lame in the off-4.
Right.
For which it received veterinary treatment prior to being taken off course for further veterinary assessment. So whenever I see the fact that a horse has received veterinary treatment prior to being taken off the course, that is generally the worst side of lameness.
Definitely.
You don't often see them pull up immediately after a race lame.
Exactly right, let alone when he's won the race. So first things first, we didn't see the best of Bravo Centurion.
Okay.
In the run, back live, I actually could almost see it happening. At the 500 metre mark, you could see Chris Parnham just ask the horse for an effort, and from there, he just didn't really respond or travel like he has done in his previous 3 starts. So at that point, I thought, you might be in some trouble at $1.30, but clearly there was some issues there. Hopefully, things aren't too bad, and I'm sure Luke Fernie will provide the media and plenty of people with updates in regards to what will be next for Bravo Centurion in regards to when we'll see him at the races next, because as you know, Marty, and as anyone would know, I have a huge opinion of this horse. I'm a massive fan of him, and hopefully with the benefit of a good break, we can see him come back and really prove himself as a top-line sprinter on firmer tracks, because that's the one query we all have on him as well.
Almost scary, isn't it, that he's been able to do that when he's pulled up sore immediately afterwards. You rarely ever see that for a winner, so it's extremely exciting. Ain't No Other Man gave a great side. He's improved into his campaign. Lord Gannicus was a ripping run for a horse that's going to be a middle distance type and under influence.
Real good run.
The double backup was not suitable for him in the steadier tempo, but Lord Gannicus looks like he's in for a really nice prep.
Absolutely. I'm not sure what will be next for Lord Gannicus, but you'd think that he could be a lower-rated Hannon's type chance if they did want to go that way with him, but I'm not sure, but it was a fantastic return at the 1,000, that's for sure and certain.
All I was going to say was, did they miss an opportunity to maybe sit outside of Ain't No Other Man? I know we've got the theory of let fast horses be fast.
For who?
Bravo Centurion.
I don't think so. I think going into the race, we've seen Bravo Centurion in previous instances, roll that extra 100 metres, and that's actually broken the field.
Yep.
Remember his last start win? We actually said it on the Sunday morning when Chris just did that extra little bit of work to cross. All of a sudden, he had 3-4 lengths on the field, and that actually occurred again yesterday. But when it really mattered and when push come to shove at the top of the straight, he just didn't have the same horse underneath him. And
for good reason, which was exposed after the race. So, on to race number 2, the Liberties Insurance Handicap over the 2,100 metres.
Clear of Burnbrae going to the 300 mark. Here's Queen of Jerusalem down the outside. Pike hands and heels Red Dwarf at the 200 mark by 2 to Burnbrae. Queen of Jerusalem coming, but Red Dwarf with 100 left to go. Holding Burnbrae for the moment. Red Dwarf, now Burnbrae coming at Red Dwarf and Queen of Jerusalem. Oh, they hit it. Nothing in it. Bob of the heads. Queen of Jerusalem, Burnbrae together. They got to Red Dwarf in the last stride. Flat.
Yeah, it was a tidy, but it was Queen of Jerusalem just beating Burnbrae. Red Dwarf in that three-way finish. Flash Paddy not suited with the way the race was run. And did the stewards have a word to Braden Garth about his riding early in this race?
Yes, they did. They questioned him in regards to the tempo of the race, and he was reminded that he should be setting a more genuine speed when leading in future to ensure that races are run at a more true tempo. But all honours to Queen of Jerusalem. You would have thought that Queen of Jerusalem won on the line, Marty. You never miss.
I thought it did, yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course you did.
It was very, very deceiving on the line. Burnbrae.
Queen of Jerusalem's big head.
Yeah.
She's a lot bigger than Burnbrae.
Yeah. I feel bad for poor Burnbrae. She's the new lover session. I feel like she's going to be the running joke of Racing Rewind for the next couple of months, but hopefully a win isn't too far around the corner.
She's gone good, though. Her 3 starts for Tony.
Absolutely. She's flying. But Queen of Jerusalem, Adam Durant, the camp is going very, very well, and ever since this mare has returned to Adam, she's clearly returned to her best. Big effort there yesterday. Slow tempo. Had to carry the 60 kilos. Backed up off 7 days. I really loved this win. Obviously, we're not sure about the form because she did beat a noted non-winner in Burnbrae, but Queen of Jerusalem, she's been a model of consistency, and I really liked the win yesterday.
Yeah, for sure. She's been in work a long time, and she backs up really well. She backed up for the 3rd time yesterday, and she deserved the win. Burnbrae's clearly come back to racing in terrific order. Red Dwarf had to make that mid-race move, stuck on well, and I thought Flash Paddy was probably only fair, so not a huge amount to report other than that.
Always go back to 1988 Melbourne Cup when you talk about big heads in photos. Empire Rose and little Natsky.
You would have backed it?
No, I was on Natsky. The big head of Empire Rose got me on the line. They're handy in photo finishes, big heads.
Bloody oath.
I think between the two of us, we'd win a photo finish, wouldn't we?
You're talking to Michael, yeah?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Let's go to Belmont Park, race number 3.
To the outside, no room Arcadia Park inside of those, though, as Mean Machine reaches the lead at the 200. Mean Machine from Jackpot Bingo. Pike goes back to the inside now of Mean Machine on Arcadia Park, and further back Secret Intent. Mean Machine, Arcadia Park now picking it up. Oh, that's a fabulous win. He did some zigging and zagging, but Arcadia Park got the money. Fine win, beat either Mean Machine or Jackpot Bingo.
Like the look of this one, Arcadia Park. He had been unlucky to date this preparation, but there yesterday, well, he was unlucky again. He was going to be a good thing beat if he didn't get the job done, but Willie Pike eventually was able to find a path clear in the home straight to get the job done. It was a muddling run race. It was an awkward run race because they didn't appear to be setting any records out in front, and then a horse like Fun in Hollywood was just in an awkward position outside the lead but in front, and from there it just put a few runners in awkward positions, but Willie Pike was able to just get the gaps when it mattered most for Arcadia Park, and in the end the horses won by a length. So I felt the horse had won with something in hand, and by the sounds of things he'll just be the typical Bob Peters owned horse where they have 2 or 3 weeks off and then they'll come back for, I suspect, a Faritha en route to a WA Guineas, which would be really exciting.
Might be the top seed as well, this one. Just looking at the way that it's been finishing off its races. Looked to have gears yesterday. Things didn't work out in the run and was pretty soft on the line. The margin in the end was only a length, but I thought it was pretty impressive. And with the clear galloping room and even luck, would have won by a lot more than that. I'm going to make the second horse a follow, though, Jackpot Bingo. Green as grass and very raw. Could even see that in the mounting yard. Was a little bit all over the show, and yesterday was in and out in the run, but was still stuck on quite well to run second, and clearly has a level of ability looking through the previous form and the recent trials as well.
Marty, I said this to Michael yesterday. Jackpot Bingo's sire, Bellevue Hill. Did that just not scream of a typical Wally Daly?
Never heard of it.
Stallion selection. And I joked to Michael at the time. I said, "What's the bet in a year's time that this stallion will be a big thing here in Australia?" Because I certainly hadn't heard too much about him.
He's a Piero. That's all I know.
Yeah.
How's Jimmy Shue going lately? Jimmy's going all right.
Can I just go back to your comments on Arcadia Park? Just one thing to keep in mind.
Wet track.
Yeah.
Ocean Park.
By Ocean Park.
Yeah.
They love it, the swimmers.
Yep.
At
And
least
he's yet to be on a... It's yet to be on a good.
At least knowing that he's going to be on a WA Guineas path now, you're going to get one, maybe two looks at him prior to a WA Guineas, and you can presume that he's not going to be completely wound up for his first or second up run. So that's something to be mindful of as well. Mean Machine, I thought that was a terrific run.
Good.
I think this horse
3 deep the trip.
has serious ability,
So do
but
I.
he's just taking a little while to work it all out. Sometimes we see this from Darren's horses. I think he's a relation to Gatting. I think on Friday morning
Right.
he referred to Gatting as his uncle.
Okay.
And therefore, he might just be a work in progress in a similar sense to how Gatting was back in the day. So hopefully with more racing, he can just learn to relax that little bit more. And if he can do that, I really think we'll see a nice horse in time.
I think this race might hold up. Arcadia Park, I've got an opinion of. Jackpot Bingo's a follow. Mean Machine, you've just touched on. Secret Intent's only a maiden filly, and she's a tiny little filly, but she was a big run there yesterday from back in the field. I think she'd be hard to beat wherever she goes next, especially a maiden. And Rosie Can Run didn't have the best run, knuckled in the straight and still finished off well into 5th place, first up from Graham Ballantyne's yard. So I think the first 5 across the line all look handy enough.
Okay, Michael, let's take a break. We'll be back with race number 4, the Tab Touch West Speed Platinum Handicap next.
You are listening to Racing Rewind on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
Keep attacking, seeing a bit of room near the inside, but not enough to get through. Has to steady down the outside. Elite One puts in its effort, and Lover Session also. Elite One hits the front now. Elite One races to the lead from Divine Flirt. Elbow Lounge gets clear. Elite One, though, steals the march on them and pulls away. It's Elite One extending by nearly 2 Elbow Lounge. Requisition might be third from a luckless Keep Attacking, who found...
Yes, talking about Simon Miller. Elite One gets the money for Brad Palmer. Good price.
Yes, it was. Right place, right time for Elite One there yesterday. We'll touch upon a couple of very unlucky horses in just a moment, but lovely ride from Brad Parnham. 3 deep with cover, was in the moving line. Last start only 7 days ago. This horse was actually quite unlucky, but there yesterday, with the benefit of galloping room throughout, travelled into the race nicely and found the line really, really well. I posed the question to Simon, as you generally always do when a horse wins nicely over 1,200 metres. Can they go to 1,400 metres? It's Simon's intention to just keep him at 1,200 metres for now. He feels like he has a really nice turn of foot at the moment, and training him in a manner to keep him on the fresh side, and that's what we saw there yesterday.
Yeah, he didn't get much luck 7 days prior either. Was held up in behind them. The first up run was really good, so hopefully we can see him produce what he showed early doors, because he was probably in the wilderness there for a good 12 months, wasn't he? But he's showed good ability throughout his career, so hopefully now, what is he, a 4-year-old perhaps? Yep. He should be able to come into his own. Elbow Lounge, I think, is a follow. I rarely ever make a West Speed Platinum race horse a follow, but he was second up yesterday. Big, gross horse. I think I said in the cross that he's probably 1 run off, and he ran a terrific race. He's eligible for easier as well. I think next start he should be spot on, and keen to be seeing wherever he goes. Requisition was hit the line brilliantly from last to run third as the 100-to-1 outsider, which was a little bit of an outlier on the day, and Keep Attacking, just no luck whatsoever. Was held up, still looking for a run, while Lover Session, probably end of prep, I would say, for Lover Session. She's been up a long time, back to 1,200 metres. Probably not ideal in hindsight, but she's more than done her job. She was probably only fair to the line.
I had to feel for the connections of Keep Attacking. On paper, it all just looked like it was going to be so perfect, and in the end, that's just not how it transpired. Was in the box seat. Cocktail Party just didn't quite give a big enough kick at the top of the straight, nor did Divine Flirt, and from there, Willie Pike was just in a world of hurt back towards the inside, and not to mention the fact that a horse that Michael's keen to follow in Elbow Lounge is a big horse, was to his outside, and from there he was just never getting out. So you can be forgiving of a horse like Keep Attacking, albeit he's probably not going to be a horse to follow, just knowing that he's likely to go around at a short price next start, because that's generally what occurs with those unlucky runners.
Good race for Riley Morgan on Straight Up. Tipping Elite 1 and Elbow Lounge. Bang Bang gets a Quinella. Paid about $30 at Quinella as well.
How'd the Ping go?
Peng had a bad day.
Did he?
Yeah, he needs to lift his game.
He's not the only one.
He needs to lift. Race number 5, the Mrs. Max Handicap over the 1,300 metres.
Another straight no-brainer from Excel Train. 2 lengths away, Influencing. Jelly Can Run, Lost City, and Deferred still 5 or 6 lengths off. No-brainer. No-brainer at the 200. Kicks away by 2. Excel Train, followed by Jelly Can Run. Deferred can't win. No-brainer's the leader. Off his feet, Jelly Can Run, Lost City coming, but No-brainer's far too good. No-brainer from start to finish. Beat Jelly Can Run, Lost City. Excel Train, Deferred.
Okay, Michael, what'd you make of this one?
Gee, nice horse, no-brainer.
Yeah.
Really nice horse. He can do it at both ends. He just finds over the late stages. Beautiful horse to look at as well. Really nice type. You can see why he was probably a late 3-year-old debutant, because he would have taken a bit of time. He's a big, strong boy, but he looks pretty progressive in the way he's jumping, and he's come from just off the speed previously as well. I think he'll make a lovely Ascot horse, not just Belmont. Even though he's been striking some wet tracks, I think he's got the right attributes to be pretty smart wherever he goes next, Prep.
Absolutely. I love the way that Dan and his team have placed this horse. He's just gone through his grades beautifully, and they've always been mindful of the fact that this is his first racing preparation. So he's now had 5 starts, he's won 4 times, and is now off to the paddock for a good break. He's not being set for any race in particular, so you know that next campaign he's just going to continue to go through his grades, and eventually, from what he's shown in this first racing preparation, he might actually get to lower grade stakes races, because he has a great racing pattern, he can absorb pressure, and he gives an almighty kick at the end of his races. So really excited to see what he can develop into next campaign. Jelly Can Run and Lost City, I thought both of their runs were fantastic. Graham Ballantyne, his team has just continued to perform really, really well. There was that hot period where he couldn't train a loser, Graham and Donna, but I think without winning, both of his horses ran very, very well there yesterday.
Deferred was heavily supported, was a big go in the closing minutes. Even was, about $2.50 into $1.90, I think was the starting price, but it was probably a touch shorter than that at one stage. But I thought she was bitterly disappointing in all respect. The leader obviously won, and the second horse sat 1-1. The third horse was 1-2, and she settled 1 out, 3 back, but she only really plodded to the line. I wouldn't be surprised if that may be the end of prep for her, but she's a pretty serious horse, I think. So coming back next prep, still lowly rated, so perhaps the Mares series might be a bit not that well suited at set weights and penalties, but I certainly think she's in that ilk.
Did she finish the race off?
I didn't think so.
Okay.
No.
I thought she was the horses in front of her kept going, the horses behind her sort of...
Because she was just back in trip a little, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Back to a 13.
Yeah. Speaking to Simon yesterday as well, he thought perhaps that because she was in that slowly run race on the heavy track last start, she really had to put in, and she was a terrific run. The way how hard she hit the line, considering the tempo, perhaps that run on the heavy track just took a bit out of her, and she might be looking for the paddock now.
Now, I have to address a few texts here. Bailey Wheeler, we had Shorty Maylands wanting to know what's happened to Bailey Wheeler. He has been suspended. He's a jockey in Queensland, boys, and I've got the date here somewhere when he'll be back. I'll find that in 1 second. I'll just bear with me. Bailey Wheeler resumes 13th of the 9th. And then we had another text about Aaron Bullock. He's got a fractured clavicle, and he's hoping to be back late September. So there for those texters. 0427 789 571. 17 away from 9. We better get cracking. Here's race number 6, the Glenroy Chaff.
They went to the 300. Corn Cob led. Honeydew, the immediate threat. Corn Cob from Honeydew. Well back, Playhouse Patron, Desert Nymph. She's leaving a run very, very late. Corn Cob, 100 to go. Here comes Playhouse Patron. Corn Cob's off his feet. Playhouse Patron's got him. Ranges up, grabs the lead. Playhouse Patron. Playhouse Patron beat Corn Cob. Desert Nymph. She was doing her best late, but she certainly...
Okay, on race number 6, this was over the 1,400 metres, and the win for Bobby McPherson and Joe Azzopardi with Playhouse Patron.
Good win, this. I feel like this might be an underrated type, Playhouse Patron. Freshened up, kept to the shorter trips at 1,400 metres yesterday. The horse travelled well, and I think Joe Azzopardi just really knows how to get the best out of this horse. He was a horse that ran 6th in the Perth Cup earlier this year, but I'm not actually sure that's his go. I think after yesterday's performance, Bob might be thinking that 14 to a mile might be his go, just keeping him on the fresh side because he travelled really well in running. Corn Cob had them running coming into the home corner, but Playhouse Patron travelled up nicely, whipping the left hand with Joey aboard. Nice win.
He was only a fortnight between runs deep into a prep. So when you say freshened up, did Bob say that he's just really backed off in the last fortnight?
Correct.
Yeah, because that was probably why I took a set against him yesterday, because he was only the fortnight between runs, back to 14 after a few miles. I thought if it was perhaps a month between runs, you'd entertain him. But, geez, he won super impressively. You're right, he's probably not a genuine stayer. The way he can finish off is probably a bit too brilliant to be a staying type.
It's hard to know. Like, he ran...
What did Bob think post-race?
Well, he thinks that perhaps off the back of yesterday's win, this might be a learning curve, but at the same stage, it's hard to say that he wouldn't get back out over a trip because he ran 6th in the Perth Cup, all while still being a very inexperienced horse.
Yep. I think there was in the steward's report, was there a barrier malfunction for this race or a supposed barrier malfunction?
There was
correct weight was delayed, it said.
There was a little bit happening in regards to both Cruise to Victory and Desert Nymph.
First and second favourites.
Exactly right. So there was a little bit occurring, but after reviewing the patrol vision, it was established that Cruise to Victory had become fractious and reared in its barrier simultaneously to the start being affected, and as such was afforded a fair start with correct weight on the judges' numbers being declared shortly after.
So Desert Nymph just simply missed it then, just was steady out.
Correct.
Yep. She was a good run, the way she finished off still, from the way the race was run as well. Had to make a lot of ground. First time she's ever backed up as well. I think she's usually a 2 to 3 week between run horse, and off 7 days yesterday she found the line really, really nicely. Looking at Corn Cob's form, he just doesn't go a yard on the heavy or the really soft tracks. All of his forms on good tracks. We were on a drying soft 6 yesterday,
right,
and he produced his best run of his prep. A few runs in, looking fitter as well, so perhaps he's a horse. I assume he would have dropped a few running points, actually. I'll stand corrected on that, but he's been finishing out of the money for a few runs now, so he could be a horse come next prep at Ascot, back down in the ratings, back on top of the ground. He might not be without a chance. And Honeydew, thought she was probably only fair in all due respect yesterday. Honeydew, good run the start prior, and I thought that was a really nice race for her. 1,400 metres she's won at previously, but her last 100 probably only fair, Lochie?
She was okay. As I've said on a few occasions now, I think ourselves and the boys have had our fun with her, and she's likely to have one more start, and then we'll reassess where she's at. She might be off to the breeding barn.
Just on Bellevue Hill, 2 stands at Platinum Thoroughbreds in Victoria for $9,900. Race record, won the Schwepp of Essence, a Group 3 at 1,400. Won 1,000 metres and was second in a Todman Stakes at 1,200 metres.
You're doing the matings now, Honeydew?
No. I'm just...
In regards to jackpot bingo.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you were just...
No, we just...
We got Lochie on programming, we've got you on the matings, we're good to go.
Could be a good combination.
You are listening to Racing Rewind on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
And Pike's trying to weave his way back around heels with Sentimental Bell. Roper finding space near the fence with 200 to go. Defending got to the lead. Roper joined it. Roper burst up on the inside. Sunny Honey down the outside. Sentimental Bell. It's Roper hugging the rail, and Roper wins at 5 in a line. Roper beats Sentimental Bell. Brilliant ride by Brad. Third home, Sunny Honey.
Okay, what'd you make of this win, Lock, of Roper for Vernon and Bradley?
I really liked it. I think we were a slight knock on her last victory. We were querying the form, we were querying the manner in which she won. But there yesterday, 5 weeks between runs, a slight freshen up. I felt that she was back to her best. The turn of foot that she showed late, without getting a great deal of galloping room leading into the home corner, I think that's the real Roper. That was the sign of a really nice mare. She's 5 from 5 now. Not many horses can win their first 5 career starts, and I'm very excited to see her develop and furnish, because I'm really happy to just follow Vern's lead in and just bank the fact that she's going to be an even better horse come the autumn.
100%. Looking at her, both I interviewed Vern before the race for the Races WA, and then obviously saw her in the yard, and she's, to be honest, not a huge amount to look at. She's quite raw still, looks like she has a lot of development to go, and she's a 4-year-old now. And speaking to Vern, he said that she's still very immature. So even though her record is outstanding, she's nowhere near what she's going to be. So it's pretty exciting, really. It's a bit like Bravo Centurion earlier in the day, that there's that untapped element. And yesterday she was held up a little bit on straightening. She was still far too good for them. And no, she looks very, very nice moving forward. Sentimental Belle ended up in a really tricky spot last on the fence. I thought it was a good run to end up finishing where she did. Sunny Honey was solid, and defending, I thought, would be going back yesterday, was ended up a really good run and a nice ride. Got across his land outside leader without doing too much trouble, and battled on well for fourth for a horse that generally takes a run or two to hit his straps. So he looks like he's set for a nice preparation ahead. Probably not a huge amount to report outside of that. I thought Snippy Witch was probably only fair second up. Was expecting improvement there yesterday up to 1,200 metres, but perhaps maybe back down in grade, we could see him back to his best.
Yeah, leniency, I thought the other runner we should touch upon, I thought was only fair as well.
Okay, one here from David Houston from Magic Millions. Very good morning, David. Jackpot Bingo is a half-brother to Wally's former good 2-year-old Brave Halo. Cost $110,000 ex-Adelaide Magic Millions. Was a lovely big horse at the sale and typical of what Wally likes. So there you have it. Thanks for that, David. Go to race number 8, the Swan Draft. Farnley Stakes over the 1400.
A gap further back, Weapon Sun. Vast Arts a day from them. So's Magnificent Andy. Saloon Bar comes at Triple J. Pike gets down to work, though, hands and heels. Now he feels for the Shillelagh. Triple J holding Saloon Bar inside the 100. Triple J, Saloon Bar comes again. Vast Art late. Saloon Bar went to Triple J. Ginger Baker flew. Saloon Bar in the middle. Saloon Bar's got home to win the Farnley from Triple.
Clint Johnston Porter, Vast Art.
Yeah, good run.
Chris Parnham, Ginger Baker.
Good run, just didn't get the out when I needed it, a little bit unlucky.
Jordan Turner, Weapon Sun.
A little bit plain. I think he's going to be a better horse on top of the ground.
Sean McGrady, River Rubicon.
Look, he had the run of the race, but first up 14, no trial, was a good effort.
Brad Parter, Magnificent Andy.
Yeah, look, he hasn't disgraced himself, but it was a bit hard with the weight. Just around the 600 when the tempo increased, I just couldn't quite keep in contact with him on the bridle, and he might have liked to see him finish a length or two closer, but yeah, it wasn't a bad effort.
Holly Watson, He Always.
Yeah, it was an honest run. I think he's just looking for the mile.
Cheers.
There's the beaten jockeys. Thank you very much for that, Michael. Triple J.
Went down without incident.
We've touched upon Saloon Bar and how good his win was, so let's touch upon the beaten brigade. Triple J, he was so brave. Back to 1,400 metres. Found the front, was much sharper than he was the start prior, and I loved his run. It could be the end of the campaign for him. I'm not sure if he'll head to a Hannon's in a few weeks' time, but gee, he's had a good preparation, and he was very, very gallant in defeat there yesterday.
Yeah, he was. I don't know if he's ever... He might have won his maiden leading, but I don't know if he's ever been as effective leading either. I thought it was a really brave effort at this stage of his prep, deep into his campaign, and a nice result there for Oakland Park. The stablemate Ginger Baker was very good, took the sit on Triple J and actually almost cost him just about winning because he was held up in behind them, then flashed late to run third. Terrific run there. Vast Art probably just got too far out of his ground. He looked sensational yesterday. This is the horse I tipped. He's going well. I think he'd be hard to beat if he can draw a gate in a race like the Hannons. And he always a pleasantly surprising run. Loomed like he was almost going to win on straightening and went around 100-1, beaten less than a length. Thought that was a terrific effort. If we go back to Magnificent Andy, what did you make of his effort, considering he's on a Melbourne path?
I think that was a pass mark. 62 kilos. I thought he found the line well enough. From where he was in running, you look at the results, he was beaten 3.5 lengths. Yep. On paper, it doesn't read that great, but I think he was okay. I think he's still on track for his Melbourne campaign.
Would have to improve, I think, though, to be measuring up, but it was probably a pass mark, you're right.
Okay, now, the Farnley's always been a great guide for the Hannons handicap. You've mentioned Vast Art. Is there any others in there that you know are going up and you think it'd be hard to beat up there?
Well, Saloon Bar... You'd think it'd be almost the natural progression, but
could be.
But I guess it's up to BJ Ryan, who's Danny's racing manager will sort that out. And the fact he settled closer to the speed yesterday could sway them, because usually he's way back in the field, but the fact he jumped and bounced on pace, perhaps he could be going there. Ginger Baker's definitely going there. Not sure about Varstart, but I'd say that's probably the natural progression for him too.
Varstart's heading that way, and I'd be surprised if he doesn't run your favourite.
Yep. And Ginger Baker should be well in there as well.
Okay, race number 9 was the Bisley Workwear handicap over the 1,600 metres.
They set sail for the judge in the last at the 375. Kerman Rock a length in front of Manhattan Strip. No run, yelling up Girl Ultimate Style in good order. Now puts in its run down the outside. Behind them trying to weave its way clear. Hemlock Stone. Here comes Simply, but in good order reaches the lead at the 100 and in good order. Now draws alongside of Kerman Rock. Takes it, puts it away. Simply charging home. In good order's in front and in good order. In good order beats Simply. Photo for third. Yelling up Girl or Hemlock Stone.
Great win. I love the look of this horse. He has just come back a bigger and better version of himself, potentially getting better out over a trip as well. And same could be said about the second horse in Simply. Both horses were on a WATC Derby path as 3-year-olds, and I really love the way both of them have furnished and returned as early season 4-year-olds.
Derby form's hot, isn't it? Geez, these horses are just coming back and dominating these new season 4-year-olds. Really like the look of In Good Order. I think he's a cracking type. Simply was one of the runs of the meeting, and Yelling Up Girl had the run of the race. Nice enough effort there. Thought Hemlock Stone didn't get a huge amount of luck, in all fairness, in the straight. Was held up at different stages, but all honours to the 2 new season 4-year-olds. They look progressive types.
On Racing Rewind, it is time for the boys to look back and determine who are the black bookers, the ones to be on next start, the horses to follow.
For me, Jackpot Bingo, Varstart in the Hannons, and Simply love the way he's returned.
Ginger Baker for me in the Hannons. In good order, I'm keen to be following him wherever he goes. Elbow Lounge as well. Jackpot Bingo as well.
Thank you, Michael. A lot of love for you on the text line. Thanks for all our texters on 0427 789 571. Now, Sha Tin resumes today. Here are the best bets for our tipsters from Sha Tin. Paul Lally, best bet race 3, number 8, Beauty Waves. Long shot race 8, number 4, USS Constitution. Tom Wood, best, race 7, number 4, Superb Boy. Value, race 2, number 9, Same to You. Mark McNamara, best bet, race 8, number 7, Family Jewel. Long shot race 6, number 7, Star Line. And Nick Child, best bet, race 3, Lucky With You. Long shot race 4, number 7, Run Cool. We'll send them out on the socials. Thanks, boys, for coming in.
You win some, you lose more. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelpline.org.au.